evening, everyone, and welcome to National Parents Union presents Speak Your Truth with yours truly, Vivett. Thank you so much for being here on another Monday night. It's so wonderful to see all of you because I'm noticing people coming back more than one time, visiting and sharing time with us every week, twice a week on Mondays and Thursdays from 7:30 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Now, when we initially started Speak Your Truth, it was very, very, very important to us that we get the voices of young people involved in the conversation. I remember, pitching the concept of this broadcast to the National Parents Union and them asking, well, what's your angle? What's your take? And I said to them, I'm just noticing in so many things going on, the voices of the youth really are not at the forefront of what we're talking about, and they need to be. And I think it's just me as a teacher, as a mom, I just know the energy that young people bring to every space that they are in, and it was missing, and it's necessary. And I think we all are seeing that as we look around globally, what's going on in our world. At the forefront are young people. And so tonight on Speak Your Truth, we have two very wonderful young ladies who are joining us. They're actually sisters, the Beckford sisters. I'm going to introduce you first and foremost to Natasha Beckford. Natasha, are you with us? Daniela, I'm looking at Natasha Meji, our producer. So sorry. So there's Daniela and there's Samantha. I'd like us to speak with Daniela Beckford first.
Hello.
Hi, this is Samantha.
Yes, this is Samantha.
Hi. So Samantha and I've actually never met. I apologize. I just called you Natasha. I don't know if you heard me. That's our producer's name. I'm so sorry.
No problem.
Yeah, how are you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm doing okay. I'm actually tired, to be quite honest. Let me speak in my truth. I'm not all the way okay.
Hmm.
Things going on have been a lot, and a lot of Zoom calls and back-to-back stuff, definitely
Yeah,
tiring. But knowing that you and your sister were coming on tonight definitely invigorated me. When I got your text message, I was super excited. So thank you for being here.
I'm grateful to be here.
Yes, so I was telling our viewers that you and I have actually never met. And so would you like to tell our viewers how we got to know one another?
Okay. So my sister, she was supposed to recite a poem for um us. I wouldn't call it a ceremony, but for something to recognize, I guess, graduates and like celebrate the work that the students had done at her school. And she had an idea for a poem that she wanted to do, but when she was searching online, like the graduation poems weren't expressing the messages that she wanted to express. It wasn't relating to specifically how minorities are treated in America. So when she came across Doom, like she thought it was she thought it was something that was really conveying what she was thinking. And then we were speaking and we felt like we wanted to say more, so we kind of continued on that and built it on that poem.
Wow. So, little background. Doomed is a poem that I wrote about 10 years ago. Sitting in a college classroom, I was learning about redlining districts, learning about how the suburbs of Long Island, where I'm from, where I live, how they were developed, the premise of why they were developed, men like Robert Moses, like how they conceptualized this idea of segregating people. So you work in the city, you come out to Long Island, you make it so that if you don't have money for the railroad, if you don't have money for a vehicle, then you're going to not be able to live in neighborhoods on Long Island. So I've grown up on Long Island pretty much my entire life. And to learn the history, and at that age, I was like, why was I never taught this before? Meanwhile, I'm at Robert Moses Beach every summer, like not even knowing who this man was, rocking Robert Moses Beach shirts. Like, I don't really believe in this man's ideology at all. Thinking I was learning about how they built the Cross Bronx Expressway to cut right through the Bronx and cut through people's homes. And it created such divisiveness and really poverty. And so as I was reading that, I was doodling on some paper, and then Doomed just came out of
Wow.
and I didn't even know. I mean, I've spoken it, I've done spoken word poetry and shared it, but where did you find it exactly? I didn't even know it was online.
No, I feel like she was definitely searching. She was definitely searching for something that specifically said that. But as far as writing it, we wanted to do something, but I guess we couldn't find the words to put it as how we found it.
Wow. And so you mentioned school and a ceremony. Tell us a little bit about yourself, you and your sister. What school do you go to? What grades are you in?
Oh, well, my sister, the one who found the poem and wanted to recite it, she's a senior in high school, but I'm a junior in college. Um, yeah, and I'm studying to do science education. So I feel, and I'm working right now with youth. So I think that is something I'm passionate about. But I feel like even for myself, sometimes I lose sight of what like the youth are thinking in this time, and like how it's affecting them, because we see them on TikTok doing challenges, laughing, so we feel like everything's fine, but that's not something that we think about.
Mm. So we have your sister here with us tonight, right?
We do.
So why don't we bring her on? Daniela, hi. How are you?
I don't think she realizes that she's on mute.
I don't think so either. I know we're all like,
Oh, hello. Yeah,
hi.
so I'm a bit stressed because there are lots of deadlines coming up, and last week I had exams, and then with everything going on, with the social climate, it's really difficult to.
Wow, I know it is really difficult. You're a senior in high school.
Right.
What high school do you go to?
So I attend George Washington Carver High School for the Sciences.
And where is that located?
It's located in Springfield Gardens in Queens, New York.
Wow, Queens, Queens. I teach in Queens too. Wonderful. Shout out Queens, New York. No, we got to do a shout out. So talk to me about when you found my poem Doomed. How did you feel? What ran through your mind? Because your sister gave a nice little setup about you searching and
Yeah.
getting frustrated to an extent, not being able to find something to really say what you were feeling in your heart. Talk to us about that.
So I feel like it really did express like exactly what I wanted to say, because the nature of the ceremony was really to encourage students, but I felt like it was really ignoring like what students are going through, especially today. I think like it was really ironic that you wrote this 10 years ago and it's still relevant today. But so I wanted to find something that talked about like the disparities that minority kids face, like even in New York City where it's supposed to be so diverse. So I was searching, looking for something, but all the other graduation poems or like decision day poems were so hopeful, talking about this is the like your future is going to be so bright, but I did not feel that. I felt like the poem says, I felt doomed, like it wasn't going to be as bright as I wanted it to be because of things that were out of my control. So I was really glad that I found this that actually said like exactly what I wanted to say. But we added a bit more because we do have some sort of control, like in our actions, with like, even though it's more effort, with more effort we could actually like change something. So I felt like we added that part because we knew that we could actually make a change, even though the system seemed, to be against us.
And do you mind talking us a little bit? Might seem like an obvious question, but why, what exactly do you mean by you felt that you did not have as bright of a future? I mean, you're a senior in high school. This is supposed to be one of the most promising times in your life. Why don't you feel that it is?
I guess I attended a predominantly Black school in a more impoverished neighborhood. So I could see like what was happening around me, but I felt like I was going to be more exposed because I was going into a world where everybody wasn't like me. I knew that I would face, because I've also been involved in internships with other groups. So I knew that I would face some kind of challenges because of the color of my skin, because of my race. So I just felt like that was going to all, just come crashing down. And I just didn't, I don't know. It's just really difficult to just look at that and say, like, I'm so excited and so ready when all of that was just waiting for me.
I recently spoke with a friend of mine, shout out Lisa Nelson, and she said to me her son is going off to college. And she said to me, Vivett, this should be a time when I'm so excited. He's going off to college, getting ready to, get his dorm room set up and all of those things that as you're raising your child and sending them to the best schools, doing the best by them, you live for these moments. She said, and instead, I am so scared. I don't walk around with that same joy that some of my friends, specifically some of my white girlfriends who are going through the same experience, they're not thinking about, well, what could happen to their son. They're just in that happy go lucky state of mind that really is where all of us should be able to be. But unfortunately, that's not the case. Now, I didn't ask you this before, but I know you have a video of your rendition of Doomed, and then you actually did a remix of it because you added to it, so it became a collaboration. Would you be willing to do that at some point tonight?
Oh, yeah, I would be willing.
Yeah, that's wonderful because I think to give this a broader context, our viewers really need to hear the poem. And so I would be willing to do my part. And if you want to come in with what you added on, is that cool?
Yeah, that's cool.
Do you have it memorized or you need to go get it?
No, I don't have it memorized, but I have it with me.
You have it with you there?
Yeah.
All right. So, Samantha, are you a part of this in any way or are you just here for moral support at this point?
I am very much here for moral support.
Yes, I can say that. So, background before we get to the poem, how I even found out about this, which first of all, thank you. I'm so honored that you would choose my poem to read at your, high school, college acceptance day. Not only as a writer, but as a teacher of Black children, of brown children, that is very important to me that you've even considered my writing to be worthy of that platform. So I'm honored and I thank you so much. How I found out was Daniela emailed me. I would have never known. And she emailed me to show you the integrity of this young woman to say, hi, Mrs. Stu, I just want you to know I had this assignment. I couldn't find a poem. I found your poem. It was perfect. I gave you credit, right? So to me, like the English teacher part of me was just so happy because it's so easy to go online and take stuff and use it as your own. And you could have very, very easily been like, oh, look at this poem I wrote. Who would know? But you didn't. You gave credit. And I think that's important because a lot of people who do not have exposure to young people who are far removed from teenagers tend to only look at what the media shows, and oftentimes teenagers are cast in a negative light, especially Black teenagers, especially young Black women. And the both of you show us such a different narrative, and I'm grateful for it. I also hear your accents that you are Caribbean girls like me, which I'm from Jamaica. Where are you from?
Jamaica.
Oh
We're also from.
God, I knew it, but I just didn't want to be so braggadocious about it. So that in and of itself also makes me so happy. Young Jamaican American women just like me literally could be my child. My youngest daughter is 21, so you could be my children, giving me such pride, such hope. Um, Thank you. I had to say that publicly to you, or otherwise I would have never known. So you've given me such a gift, really.
Thank you for sharing that part of yourself.
You're welcome. I don't know who posted it, where it is, but I'm grateful to whoever did, and so thank you. You ready?
Mhm.
Yeah. All right. Poem is entitled Doomed. In America, when you're Black and poor, it feels like you're doomed, to set up to fail, a life lived constantly on the third rail of those tracks from the wrong side of town. Measures from every angle designed to keep you down in the dumps, breasts with lumps, but no health care. Children can barely jump rope without landing on needles from dope fiends. Life's so mean when it's doomed. Doomed to get left back, doomed to go to jail, doomed to be fat, doomed to ail in mind and body and soul and spirit, just going through motions, but not really in it. Doomed to use stamps to buy your food, doomed to grin and bear it while others blatantly rude, thus elevating stress. Life's a mess when systematically your opportunities are less than everybody else's, and from every angle, you're oppressed, stripped from history, ripped of dignity, longing for humanity, needing some serenity, wanting, needing, pleading for so much more. But in America, when you're Black and poor, it feels like you're doomed.
But we will not be silent. We will use our voices, or passion, or intellect for the generation to come. For every George Floyd, Trayvon Martin, every Breonna Taylor, we will bring light to our present situation. Scream it so that the whole world could hear us. Show them that we too are human and there is no need to fear us. I want our kids to be so happy that they're laughing so hysterically that they can't even breathe. But we will not be silent. We will use our voices, or passion, or intellect for the generation to come. We will work even harder for the opportunities we were never afforded. We will work even harder to dismantle of systems of oppression that are against us. For the freedom to jog across finish lines, we will succeed for the, I'm sorry, it's just, but we will not be silent. We will use our voices, our passion, our intellect, our heart for the generation to come. We'll work even harder for the privilege we weren't afforded, for perpetuating systems of oppression to end, for the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness we will defend, for the freedom to jog across finish lines as we succeed, for the right to equal healthcare opportunities when we bleed. We will be the next success. We will use our voices, our passion, or intellect for the next generation to come. We will be the next success.
it's like we wrote it together, right? It's like you just picked up right where I left off. I think we should go further. You're inspiring me to even revisit and do a third stanza. I did the first stanza, you did the second stanza. I'll come in with the third stanza because this is so symbolic of what needs to happen as well. Intergenerational conversations and a coming together of like-minded people for the same cause, same reason, so that we can actually create a better world now. I wrote it 10 years ago. Here you are, 18 years old, an 18-year-old young woman who feels it at the highlight of her life, going away to college, doing everything that she's needed to do, but yet there's a weight, a heaviness, a sadness, because she knows life for me as a Black young woman, it hits differently, not the same. You're so expressive with your words and your ideas. Samantha, when you heard the poem, I'm sure your sister ran it by you first. What were your thoughts about what she had written?
Well, Samantha actually helped me with the writing.
Oh, wow. So
Yeah.
Samantha, get on in. Come talk to us about your role in all of this.
My role in all of this, I think she's very good at like expressing concepts. And I feel like my role is, I guess, taking the concepts that she's expressing to me and like putting them into, I guess, verses and words that kind of make sense. So like she gave me ideas and I put them together.
Have you two always collaborated to write poetry or write music together?
Yeah, we actually have.
Talk to us about, I could tell just by the nature of your like sharing your process of writing, the collaboration is beautiful. Tell us more about how you as sisters have written together.
It's interesting because it's in spaces like church. Like I don't like to perform and she's a good performer. So I'm usually the one who writes it and then she'll perform it.
Wow. Wow. So you're the writer, she's the lyricist.
Mm-hmm.
Beautiful. Your parents must be so very proud of you. I certainly am. The work that I do as a teacher is because I know that young people like yourselves exist. I know it. I know it. Whether I ever laid eyes on you before, I know you're there. Now, can you talk to us a little bit about your education and what school has been like for you, like especially senior year with the coronavirus pandemic? What was that like for you, Daniela? And then you can talk, because you're both in school, so you can give us the high school perspective and the college perspective. How has the coronavirus pandemic shifted that for you?
So I feel like it has been especially difficult because of I feel like there is a lack of communication, like on a more emotional level between the teachers and the students. So I feel like both sides feel largely misunderstood. Because I remember at the start of the pandemic, because they were also trying to figure out how everything was going to work, that I was really bitter because I felt like they were just ignoring my present state, like me, like just here stressed about what's going on around me, worrying about like where my next meal is going to come from sometimes. So I feel like they just did not understand what was going on with me and they just didn't care. But after reaching out, I found out that they do care and they started to lessen the work, but it's still a lot because of so many things, piling up during this time, especially for Black students. So it has been especially difficult because as a senior, I'm taking AP classes as well. So I had to take the AP exams inside, I remember for one of my AP exams, I could actually hear the protests outside. So that was actually really difficult to deal with. But for senior activities, I feel like a lot of my peers and myself, we've been like really don't, because we were expecting so much from our senior year, and it has been reduced to just being inside. Yes, we try to like communicate on social media and stuff, but it's still not the same. And we can't meet in person because of the virus.
Right. Talk to us about your experience.
Yeah, I think it was different. It was different for me because when it just started, I didn't I don't have professors that are going to reach out if work is missing. So, I mean, the work is just going to stay until the last minute when it piles up and I realize that something has to be done. But I feel like there was a huge disconnect with the different types of professors that I have. So, I'm doing science education. So my education professors, they were so understanding, but the science professors were way, like, they were very different. And that's something that I had always noticed with my education professors. They had a different level of understanding for what students are going through, and even how students manage the workload. But I feel like in the end, even though they all didn't communicate that they were empathetic towards the situation, in the end, like it turned out for good.
And where do you attend college?
I'm at Queens College.
Oh, wow. Wonderful.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
And
They're
I,
known for their education department as well. Wow.
what was I?
I said they're known for their education department as well. At least in the city, I've always heard really great things about Queens College having a wonderful education department and being a really strong school in the CUNY system. Many of my professors are graduates of Queens College. So,
Yeah.
yeah,
I feel like they were really supportive. They, like, my education professors were really supportive to the point where, like, if there's a small class and they notice that there's one student missing, they'll wait for that student to come on before class starts.
wow. Shout out CUNY, shout out Queens College. That's a good look. That's a
Yeah.
very good look.
Yeah.
Really good.
And they encourage you to be good teachers because they model, like, behavior that you would want to experience. Like, they make teaching sound like a good thing. And I know that's not always what's displayed. We usually hear about bad kids, like what you were saying. So I feel like it's even more encouraging to become a teacher after hearing, how professors handle situations and how they interact with us students.
Absolutely. And I think teachers also get a bad rep. So, listening to you, the teacher in me feels really good to know, like, well, wow, you got the support you needed, because that compassion and the relationship is so important between teacher and student. And then also the mother inside of me who has two children who've gone through college. The last one is in college. I know even at that level, because it is more hands off, right? Where it's like, hey, you're in college now. That's the famous
Mm-hmm.
line. Well, you're in college now. And sometimes it's like, well, what does that mean? I'm in college now, but all of this stuff is still going on around me. So it does absolutely help to have professors at any age, at any time, but especially now, who are compassionate and understanding. So I'm grateful that you had a positive experience. Daniela, I'm sorry that your experience has not been as positive. Where are you planning to attend college? Do you know yet? Where was your school for decision day?
So I got accepted to, and I'm planning to attend New York University.
Wow, shout out to you, girl. You'll be in the city. That's
Yeah.
wonderful. That's exciting. Good to see you smile. You should be very happy about that and proud of yourself for
Mm-hmm.
achieving that. It's not an easy school to get into. That means that you've been doing really hard work for a really long time to get yourself to that place. So I'm really proud of you. Wow,
Thank you.
good. Yes, that's great. That's great. You left off talking about having to take one of your AP exams while the protests were going on. Can you talk to us a little bit about that? For those who don't know, her advanced placement, AP, or her advanced placement exams, what subject was it in?
I was taking English literature at that time.
So an AP in English Lit. This for those who don't know, taking an advanced placement course in high school is the equivalent of taking college level coursework in high school. And she completes the coursework, and at the end, if she takes the test and gets a certain score on it out of 6, right? And
No,
if
5.
out of 5, and if you get a 4 or above, you will receive the college credit. So this is like a very high stakes test because there are fees associated with it. There's a lot of time invested into it, and there's a lot riding on it. NYU is not the most affordable school, let's put it that way. So any help that she can get, and she'll be the second child to be in one family going to college. So we have to kind of frame it and put it all in context about, the immense pressure that that has on a child when they know me taking this class literally is saving my family dollars and cents. It's my family who came here from another country, my family who it sounds like yours is like most Jamaican families, West Indian families, like we didn't come here to lose. We
Mhm.
came here for you to have a better chance, and so you better work it. You better do well. Does that sound like your parents? Yeah, those were my parents. Same story. I'm still getting it today. Same story, right? Anything you do, you have to excel. You must be excellent. It's a lot of pressure. Talk to
I
us.
feel like my parents are supportive, but there's still some things that I feel like are like kind of implicit, and that's definitely one of them. But my father is pretty supportive, like trying not to place that pressure on me, but it's still there.
Yes. So what was it like? Tell us about taking that AP exam while the protesters were outside.
So leading up to the exam, I was already pretty frustrated because of everything going on. Like I was literally seeing people die, on social media, and it was just really difficult. But at that point, I feel like I was just trying to block out everything. So I feel like my means of coping was definitely not healthy because I was trying to complete this exam that I felt like was already unfair in the first place because a 3 hour and like 45-minute exam was being reduced to 45 minutes and one essay. So I already felt that that was unfair. And then to know that I'm sitting here taking this exam that could be considered a bit meaningless when something so big is happening outside, it was just really hard to like just sit there and accept that like me. But I know that it had been more difficult for one of my peers. He's like a black male, of course, and he's actually attending Yale in the fall. But aside from that, he got a passage on the exam that was about slavery, so it was especially difficult for him to sit there and write that exam when like all of that was happening for him.
So he had to write about slavery on this high
Yes.
test while protests are going on because of oppressive systems rooted in
Yes.
slavery and colonialism. Wow, talk about like mental trauma. Have either of you participated in any of the protests? Why or why not?
I mean, I haven't been able to because, like, in Queens, the protests, I don't know of the protests that are in Queens, but the ones that are farther away that it would be possible to attend, there was a curfew. So even if you go to the protest, there's no way to get back before curfew.
Wow. So you don't want to go to a protest and run the risk of getting arrested just for engaging in your civil rights. Yeah, I know there was one in Queens yesterday that went from um, it was around Roy Wilkins Park, right on Baisley and Merrick. There was one over there yesterday. I know there was one in Far Rockaway a few days ago. But still, that's not if you're anywhere by where your school is. And I know where your high school is, that's not exactly close either for you to get to. Are there any other reasons why? Well, Samantha, you told us why. What about you, Daniela? Why have you participated in any protests?
So I have not because I feel like I don't know. It should be something that I'm used to, dealing with these emotions. But for a while, because I didn't grow up in a society where like everything was so black and white, I didn't have to deal with this, so I wasn't ready to address this. And I feel like going to the protest will really just bring all those emotions in at once. And I just don't think I'm ready to just deal with it like that upfront as yet.
Yeah, it is really emotional. I was in Brooklyn on Saturday at the protest in downtown Brooklyn, and the energy was very emotional. I was in tears sometimes. There were feelings of definite solidarity, but then afterwards, there was a period of decompression. Like, I need to really just step away from this for a while, at least for a day, at least for a few hours, to really process what I'm feeling and where these feelings coming from. What about in your schoolwork? Have any of the protests been addressed, or were any of the murders at the hand of police officers addressed in your schoolwork at all by your teachers?
No, they have not. My school has not addressed the situation at all, which is pretty surprising since I attend a predominantly Black school, but they haven't said anything about it.
How does that feel?
I, I, it's pretty disappointing because it feels like they're ignoring the issue. It's very disappointing.
You mentioned you're not from here, so you were from Jamaica. You're born in Jamaica. For the people that might not know about the society, the culture of Jamaica, why is something like protesting for racial injustice not a part of what you grew up with in Jamaica?
So in Jamaica, it's predominantly Black, while we still do have the issue of colorism and, you know, like the byproducts of colonialism. Racism really wasn't something that I would experience up front just because I'm usually in a school with children that are all Black or maybe one or two that are Asian. So it wasn't something that was normal for me growing up. It wasn't something that I experienced firsthand in my country.
And how are you doing now? Because it sounds like all of this has really impacted you. I heard it in your poem. How are you doing?
Um, I don't know. I feel I'll be okay, but I don't know like how to address it right now.
And I think it's important for all of us to recognize the honesty in that comment. How are you doing? I don't know. And I think many people would say the same thing if you ask me that, how are you doing? It varies. I can be okay this moment, and then the next moment I'm not, because the murders, the rape, just everything going on, I'm not numb to it. And it seems like neither one of you are numb to it either. You're very much on the pulse and aware of what is going on. So how do you deal with that? What do you do? Samantha, what do you do when you're like, this is a lot? How do you process that?
I think a good way to do it is, I guess, like setting boundaries with how much you interact with that kind of information. Not that you're ignoring the issue, but just stepping away from it for a while, and even setting boundaries with like my friends who aren't minorities, to tell them, okay, you see what's happening. It's not always okay to ask me how am I doing, because it didn't change. Like, it didn't change. Like, we're still seeing protests, we're still seeing what's going on. But also, like, I mean, for me, what has helped is just my relationship with God.
Talk to us about that.
Sorry, what was that?
I said, talk to us more about that. Before we started the broadcast, I commented on the caption on your shirt. Talk to us about how your faith has really helped you endure this time.
Yeah, my journey with God really started in 2018. And it's because of my relationship with God, like, that I understand, I guess, bad things in the world. and really, I guess, appreciate that that's not something that God intends for us. Like, he doesn't want us to hurt. And it also helps me to understand that these injustices that are going on, it's not something that God is happy with. It's not something that he's just here smiling at. He's out there protesting, also shaking his fists.
Daniela, how have you been dealing? What do you do?
Yeah, so I agree with Samantha. Like, I've basically been dealing with it the same way. Like, I've been connected with some of her like college ministries, so I've been listening in on those talks that they have to address the problem.
And are there any clubs or any type of forums at your school, even though it's online, that you could join that perhaps are addressing the issue also, like a space online for you?
Yes, there are. I'm involved in a Christian club at my school. We have a meeting tomorrow. Hopefully, they'll address it then. And I'm also a part of a girls group. So, but that meets on Thursday. I'm not sure what they're planning for that. But there are things in place, and hopefully, like, I could even ask. But I'm not sure if I'm ready to ask the leader to speak about something like that. Because I don't know how she's feeling about it, and I don't want to be too insensitive. So.
So mature. Being just emotional, your emotional intelligence is so high, and understanding like people are at different places with all of this. But I think definitely I am pleased to hear you say that your faith is guiding you and grounding you and giving you like a solid foundation. The same is true for me too. I shared in a meeting recently with members of National Parents Union, of which I'm a part, that if had it not been for my faith, I would be, God only knows, filled with rage, filled with anger. And that's not positive. I can feel it, but I don't want to act on it in a negative way. So when I feel it bubbling up inside of me, things like the poem come out. I find creative outlets for it. And being at home during the pandemic has helped me to develop my creativity more as an outlet for when I feel frustrated and upset with things. So I would encourage you to, like, Dollar Tree has an amazing craft section. Like, I don't know what you love to write, buy pretty journals, pens and pencils, just write whatever it is that can really help you to get it out, get it out. You can, I have so many unfinished poems, Daniela and Samantha, and I go back to them. I write, I go back and pick them up. Like, that is such a relevant way that I found to be really constructive in this time and produce something that helps me and will also help others. Because that's the thing, I know I'm a servant too, right? So it's not just about me, it's about what am I going to do for others too. Um, I recently heard, I believe it was at the first funeral for Mr. George Floyd in Minnesota, where Reverend Sharpton, I don't think it was Reverend Sharpton, the pastor that prayed at the end, I don't remember who it was, but he said something that was so profound and I'd never heard it before. He said that, well, Jesus was a black man who was killed by the government too.
Mm.
I was just like, wow. So to hear you say, Samantha, like, yeah, God is not pleased. He's not sanctioning what is going on. That definitely, I'm not here asking why. It's like, okay, I know you're not down with this. So again, it's good to hear young people talk about their faith openly, honestly. I think there are so many misconceptions about youth because we're just not actively engaged with youth. And anyone who you don't really know or talk to, you're ignorant about them.
Mm-hmm.
So wow, we have like 15 minutes left, and I'd really like to give you ladies some time to talk about what your future plans are, where you see yourself in the future. How can I and the National Parents Union and Speak Your Truth continue to support you and encourage you? Where are you going and what do you need to get there?
I was seeing if she wanted to say something first, but
That's
right.
the teacher you are. That's wait time. Wait time is very important.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, definitely. My future. So right now, like even at home while I was going to school, like I'm still tutoring students and I guess trying small ways to support them in this. So like I was tutoring a third grader in ELA and I decided because of all this to do something on like to allow her to write about justice and fairness. And turns out justice isn't a word that she heard about before. So even just hearing conversations like this from Speak Your Truth, I feel like this would even be helpful to kind of help to guide students and to figure out like what students are needing, what conversations to have with students. So I think this is really good. Um, yeah, because I'm with youth in different spaces in tutoring, and I'm also involved in a high school ministry. But as far as my future, I'm looking forward to just continue doing that in the schools with science education. Yeah.
Nice. Nice. And absolutely, if you don't know, ask. If you want to know what your students need, just ask them. They'll
Yeah.
tell you no matter what age, how old they are. A pre-K student at 3 years old can tell you on their level, what they need, what they'd like to see, they can. And also, do you have any interactions with their parents at all?
I do.
And how were your interactions with their parents?
I feel like parents are it's interesting because I mean, it's a lot of my conversations with the students have been academic. My students have asked me about like the protests and stuff going on, I guess because it's so heavy on them, but generally our conversations are just academic. And I feel like the parents are really looking to me to tell me about like things that their students need academically, but also just like disciplines they need to develop.
Hmm. And how can I be of support to you in the National Parents Union? How can we continue to elevate you, celebrate you, uplift the work that you are doing?
Hmm. That's a good question that I need to put more thought into.
Okay, well, I'm here. You know how to reach me. We're
Yeah.
here. We're not going anywhere. And you have my support. You have the support of Speak Your Truth. You have the support of the National Parents Union. And I'm saying that publicly because I really am so impressed by you. And I really feel your spirit. I feel that you are the best and the brightest that we have to offer. Have you ever heard of the Talented 10th by W.E.B. Du Bois?
I oh, I mean, I know about it big picture.
Okay, I'd like you. So that's my gift to you. Read about him and specifically the name of the text is The Souls of Black Folk by W.E.B. Du Bois. There's a chapter in there entitled The Talented 10. You, my dear, are amongst the talented 10. The both of you are. So
Thank you.
you're quite welcome. It's an honor to meet you. Wow. And you're right in my backyard, and I didn't even know it. Look at that. Wow, God has a way of bringing us together, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Um, Daniela, what?
Yeah, so I feel like opening the dialogue is definitely important, not just, talking at us like some people tend to do, but actually waiting for our response like you're doing now and hearing our input, how we're feeling, like how we're dealing with this emotionally. I feel like that's really important.
What are your plans for the future?
Oh,
You said you're going to New York University in the fall, right? Shout out to you
right.
again. So, what will you be studying? Tell us.
Yeah, so I'm actually not sure like what I want to do, but I know that it's going to be something in the social sciences because I feel like I really have a heart for trying to understand people and help them in that way. So I feel like studying that would actually help me to understand people more.
Yes, I did not want to say it. I wanted to hear what you had to say first so as not to influence you. But I hear your heart as well. And over again, I hear you talking about how not only you are feeling, but being sensitive to the feelings of others. I did not want to, ask or assume that someone felt a certain way. I'll wait. You know, those things are indicative of social service, right? Social workers in some capacity, whether it's as a social worker or psychologist, whatever field. And, I encourage you as you go and you take your classes, make college work for you. Choose the coursework you want. Take classes that are of interest to you, that are going to help you not only academically, but help develop who you are. Because at this stage in your life, there are already things about yourself that you know for a fact. Like, no, I know who I am where this is concerned. I might know everything about myself. But one thing I do know is that I have a heart for people and I care about humanity and hold NYU to task. It's your job to do this for me. That would be my counsel to you. Really make the most of it. And your future is not doomed, sweetheart. Your future is so bright and so beautiful. Just speaking with you now, I feel like we could talk forever. You have such a calming demeanor. Even that translates on an online platform. I can only imagine in person what it's like to just sit down and talk with you. Yeah, Samantha's smiling. Is that true? Is she like that?
She is always listening to my talking.
You talk her head off?
Mhm.
Yeah. And she listens, right?
Yeah, she does.
I see it. Oh, beautiful. Daniela, how can I support you? How can Speak Your Truth support you? How can the National Parents Union support you in your endeavors?
So I also think that I would have to give that more thought.
So that means I'm going
Yeah.
to have to invite both of you back then.
Okay.
Yes, I think so. Once you come up with an answer, and if you need a platform to express anything, seriously, we're here. We're here for you. And you have this platform to share, whatever that might be. In all sincerity, thank you so much for being here, for who you are. Shout out to whoever raised you because they have done and are doing an amazing job. This is the National Parents Union, and so I would be foolish if I think you just grew up like this on your own. Somebody poured into you. Somebody did. Talk to me about your parents and what parents and what they've done to help make you the wonderful human beings you are.
Okay, my parents, I feel like my parents were two very opposite people with two very opposite roles. And I can see how they kind of balanced it out. So like if you think of discipline, like I guess that wouldn't be something that you would find in both people, but you would have one that would be more stern, the other one that would like you can communicate more openly to. So it wasn't all there in one person, but I feel like there was a lot that was beneficial like between the two of them.
Yeah, I also feel like something that really resonates with me is my father's willingness to listen. So I feel like that played a major part in like who I am right now. Somebody who's willing to listen.
And on the opposite side of that, my mother is someone who
Yeah.
is not going to take anyone, like, I guess not taking someone at their words, but not willing to just like sit there and allow stuff to happen.
She's a take charge woman. Take action. It needs to be.
Yeah.
I'm going to do it, and no
Yeah.
one's going to stop me.
Yeah. So very opposite people that kind of help to show you what it shows you both sides so that you know, I guess, which part you want to adopt.
Yes. And there will be times in life when you need to have that, okay, let me fall back and listen. And then there are times when you need to be like, no, this is what's going to happen and this is how we're going to do it. And that's that. And that's
Yeah.
a wonderful balance to strike. And as you said, you saw it modeled for you. So it's not just something you've read in a book, but actions and ways of being and living life that have been
Yeah.
demonstrated for you. Wonderful.
Yeah.
Please tell them that they have my utmost respect because the children that they've created and you two wonderful ladies are just, like, I don't just go around saying this either. I'm not just gassing your heads up, trust me. And I've been teaching for, I'm ending my 12th year now. I've been around a lot of young people, a lot of kids. You are amongst some of the top, some of the best. Your presentation, your demeanor, what you're talking about, how you're saying it, everything is just so engaging. And I think when you go back and watch this, you'll see it too. You'll be proud of yourself and how you
Thank you.
you are welcome.
Yeah, they weren't perfect parents, but they definitely tried their best with what they were given, especially from their parents. So it was always to improve what was done to them.
And that's the goal, right? Everywhere there is no perfect parent.
Mm.
There is none. That doesn't exist. Just are. I just don't know of any parent who doesn't want the best for their child. Even if they themselves cannot do it, I do inherently believe that parents want the best for their child, their children.
Yeah.
Yes, that's their goal. I thank you so much, both of you, Daniela and Samantha Beckford. Where in Jamaica are you from? We got to give a shout out. Wait a minute.
Spanish Town.
Yeah,
Oh,
St. Catherine.
St. Catherine? Port where? Portmore?
Spanish Town.
Spanish
Spanish Town.
Town. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. Do you know where Cynthia Avenue is?
No, I
No,
do not.
I was so bad at geography and like I am directionally challenged.
Me too. I only know it because I have an auntie who lived there, and as a little girl, so I'm born here, but then going back and forth to Jamaica my entire life. One place I used to stay a lot was Cynthia Avenue, and it was in St. Catherine. So it was nice. We used to take the Juta bus and all kind. It was just really a wonderful, wonderful time. You're representing for Jamaica. You're representing for Black girls who rock. Yes, right. Hashtag Black girls who rock right here. You're representing for so many, just youth in general. And who I see at the forefront of everything going on right now, protests and all, youth. Youth. So I'm super excited. Thank you so much for your time tonight, ladies. And however we can be of service to you, we're here.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
thanks for having us.
Thank you for having us.
My pleasure. My pleasure. You'll be back again. We'll catch you before you go off to college, okay?
Okay.
Alrighty. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, that concludes tonight's episode of National Parents Union presents Speak Your Truth. I am your host, Vivett Dukes, and I will see you again on Thursday. Until then, be well, be kind, take care of yourselves, and take care of each other. Have a good night.